basically describing a train wreck with no survivors. What anyone would describe as just an unremittingly bleak account of the university. I forget what editor said that if you want to write a best-selling book, just make sure you include death in the title. This was adapted, of course, as a joke in Woody Allen's Annie Hall. But if you're characterizing the death of anything, then people will be interested, because people like extinction as a trope, and so they look at the title of my book and they expect that this is going to be apocalyptic. And in a lot of ways it is, because I don't really offer solutions. I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of a happy ending. I think that makes people want to read the book and also argue against it. I mean, there are more people who are dissatisfied or bothered by what I'm saying than who read it and say, yeah, that's right, because it's not a really cheerful message. I never considered a question mark. And I think that most people who would want to put a question mark at the end of the book would want to propose solutions that I just don't have any faith in. The most frustrating responses, and there are quite a few of them, are complaints that there's no happy ending. That everybody wants me to supply some kind of conclusion that's uplifting. And the fact that I don't do it, it bothers them. But I don't supply a happy ending just because I don't see one, and I didn't feel the need to concoct one just for the benefit of those hopeful readers. Well, there's really only one, which is a call for unionization. And I think that makes a lot of sense for graduate students and for adjuncts. But if professors were to unionize in force, in large numbers, that means, I think, that everything about their jobs would then be negotiable. And if that were the case, then I think the first thing to be negotiated out of existence would be tenure. And with it would go any academic freedom that tenured professors enjoy. And with those two things gone, you would still have the last professors. It would have to come from the bottom up. I think that if enough graduate students and adjuncts form really strong unions and took universities, really took universities on, that might force faculty to make a decision one way or another. No one has ever asked me, when I just kind of articulate the thesis of the last professors, no one's ever asked me, is this necessarily a bad thing that professors are disappearing? No one's willing to go the whole 9 yards and say, okay, well, why does knowledge of the humanities have to originate and be disseminated in universities? Why should it even be part of a college curriculum? Why shouldn't professors disappear? No one's wanted to engage me in that debate. I'd love to have it, because I don't know that I have an answer, so it would be an interesting conversation just because I don't have a position. I don't necessarily believe that the humanities has to emanate from universities and be propagated by professors. So I'm not even sure that the idea of the last professors is necessarily tragic. No one's asked. I don't think there'll be as many humanities options 30 or 40 years from now. I can imagine even a university like Ohio State, if you go 40 years out from now, when I'm 90, it wouldn't surprise me if Ohio State had a single department of language, arts, and culture. No English, no history, no Romance languages, maybe not even philosophy. Humanities would just be condensed into one unit, and it really wouldn't be an option for a college-age kid 40 years from now. College, I think, will become something that provides students with an educational passport, where they take a few courses at one institution, maybe apply that credential on a job, then go back to school for retraining of a different kind, get a credential for that, go back to school for a different kind of training, get a credential for that. They'd end up with a whole bunch of certifications, not necessarily even from the same institution. And I don't think that people will be going to college to study the humanities. Except for a rare few. I think there'll always be an Ivy League and Ivy League type institution to which people go, and they go and major in subjects in the humanities, traditional liberal arts subjects, knowing full well that doing that means that they're just taking a prerequisite step towards an advanced degree, either a PhD or a JD or something like that. And if you have the money and the luxury to spend that much time getting to the point where you can practice a profession, 4 years of college, 6 years of graduate school, 4 years of college, 3 years of law school, well, the only people who will be able to afford that, assuming nothing changes, 40 years from now will be the very wealthy. Yeah, I've claimed in my book that the Ivy League will be the Alamo of the humanities. That's the last place it'll thrive, and the last place that it'll still exist. When it's really disappeared or morphed into something that's unrecognizable at institutions like Ohio State, there'll still be classics courses at Harvard. I always go back to Kenneth Burke's great locution about literature being equipment for living. I think way too many people have taken the Matthew Arnold position that reading literature will make you a better person. And that just seems to be bound up with a whole ethical program that I cannot subscribe to, and that just seems to me false and pretentious to push on students. Somewhere embedded in the argument defending the humanities is this will make you a better person. Reading novels, reading philosophy will make you a better person. It will improve your character. I don't believe that, and I think we should be making the argument that reading literature, reading philosophy will make you a smarter person. What you do with that is up to you.